Hey, we're back. It's Bart and Steph's show, and we are talking about mental fitness and more specifically, James Clear's Atomic Habits and how to apply habits to get the life you want.
I read dozens of self-help books, and of course, I've written a few. And the one on habits with James Clear is one of my favorites. And I'd rather you buy my books. I do. But I really like this book because he breaks down how to create a new habit. And based on all my years of helping people succeed and helping people not succeed, it's very frustrating when you coach them and they just can't seem to get it. And you really want people to change. You know, I want my mom to change. I want her to eat better. I want her to exercise. And what he breaks down of that cue and then the emotion and then the process of either doing it or not doing it is so interesting. There's so many things I like about what he says in Atomic Habits, but the big takeaway to me is if you can just do something different every day for a minute, one push-up, make it consistent, you get a small dopamine hit, and that dopamine hit says that I'm good enough. In the Life Designed by Prism, we use little check marks and we do something where even if you get like a 15 minutes books, spend quality time with your family or relationship, you do 20 push-ups, you get a check mark. And that check mark means dopamine. And dopamine is the reinforcement, feel-good chemical that your brain naturally produces. You don't have to take ecstasy to get dopamine or do cocaine or drink alcohol or take a medication. You can do it by small little steps. And those small little hits of dopamine, which is, in my opinion, why Instagram and Facebook became so popular so fast. You could open your phone and get a like and get a hit of dopamine. Well, think about that. What if you did small little habits every day that made you rich, made you fit, made you more lovable, more talented? To me, that's the best dopamine hit ever.
Absolutely. And you know, again, what's so powerful to me about what he discusses is the identity portion. And when I was a teenager, of course, when you're a kid, a child, young children, they are naturally happy, right? We were born naturally happy.
Kids are naturally loud.
They're loud, but they don't get wrapped up in their emotions. They have an outburst and then they're over it. But they default to more happiness. And I remember growing up into becoming a teenager, and my belief systems around happiness completely changed. That Disney princess in me disappeared. And I started getting disappointed in life. And my parents got divorced. And then my mom worked 3 jobs. And I became more and more disconnected. And in that vulnerability, rap music was very popular at that time. So I started listening to rap music. I started watching movies that were horror movies or gangster movies. I hung out with kids that were also struggling with happiness. And so we did a lot of drugs and had sex too early. And I started those little habits that were unconscious over time made me a sad person so much that I had a nickname named Sad Girl.
Really?
At 15 years old.
Sad girl.
And I was like proud of that. That was the identity that I put onto myself. And one day I woke up and I decided I didn't want to be sad anymore. I was so tired of being miserable that I started changing my thoughts. I stopped listening to that kind of music. I started listening. So this is where these little bitty habits can really start changing, right? Because a belief is just a thought repeated.
A belief is a thought repeated that feels true.
That feels true, right? And then we get very convicted in our beliefs because we've thought it so many times. You did a TED Talk about the neural pathways and how those, you just continue to go over and over and it creates major highways. And so then we have a belief system and then we think that's truth.
I think belief system is probably the most important thing I could possibly pass on to change someone's whole life. We were having a conversation about a particular friend of ours. And there's lots of ways to change your self-esteem, to look in the mirror, to be confident. There's lots of tricks, the NLP tricks, the hypnosis tricks. You can change the voice. You can make it louder, you get smaller. Mm-hmm. But the root cause is I'm not good enough. And like that's the root cause. And so how do you go ahead and change that root cause? And it is called a root cause, but it links to something called a belief. Let's just call this I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not talented enough, or I'm not smart enough. I had that belief about math for years. I'm not smart enough. You know, most personal development seminars, and I could list them all, and I've probably been to all of them, including personal teachers, at the root of their core training, what they want you to do is change your belief system. I would argue that religion wants you to change your belief system. They want you to believe this is the version of history, and this particular individual is the salvation to your happiness. And you can just replace that individual with what, 5, 6, 7 gurus that come top of mind?
Yeah.
Now, you're not going to get into naming names. You know why? Because some people on this, watching this video will say, but that is true. The world is flat. The world was made in 6 days. And you're like, for realsy? Do you believe that? But we're not trying to break the history of the world. But just as you believe the world is round or flat or the sky is blue, there's a belief system, and I would even say in your mind, that says something about yourself. Now, it might be different, Steph-funny, than it was when you were 17. I'm a happy person. I deserve to be happy. Do you deserve to be happy?
Absolutely.
Would you have said yes to that at 16 years old?
I probably wouldn't even have thought of that question or how to answer it.
Well, most of them don't. So the just general, I am a good person. I am a funny person. I'm not a funny person. If someone believes they're not funny at 12, they're not going to say the joke at the table. Or they say the joke and no one laughs. Well, that confirms that I'm not very funny. Just because you're funny doesn't mean you can be a stand-up comedian. You can be funny, but then you're going to put in 10 years of work to be really, really good. But if you didn't believe you were funny, you would never take the first step. So one of the things I like to do is take somebody and say, look, I know you don't have the skill set yet to be a musician or guitarist, but do you believe you can do it if you had time? Well, I don't believe I'm talented. So you got to get past that. It's so hard because if you don't have the talent, a guitar is a great example because it's an instrument that I believe I can learn. But at one point, I didn't believe I could learn it. I don't know if you know that about me. I literally thought I had no musical ability and I couldn't figure it out.
It's not surprising. Our dad, he couldn't concentrate if there was music on. So there wasn't
Really?
a lot of musical structure in our world to say that this is an avenue that we could be great at.
Wow, I never knew that. I know now, state management, I put music on in the mornings and I'm happier.
Yeah.
But I also know that if I put in the time and the effort, I can play a guitar. And I don't think I'm ever going to be a rock star. That's not the outcome. The outcome was I had a limiting belief that I couldn't do something. And I have tend to in the past, if there's something I'm scared of or something I'm not sure about, I will push myself to break through that. Yeah. Because I don't want any belief limiting me and I don't want any skill set that I can't do. So the point being is, if you're watching this and you think you're not good looking enough, you're not handsome enough, you're not lovable, those aren't true. Those are words that either someone said to you or you said to yourself, and they become etched in stone in your brain like the software program of your brain. And I'm saying to you that no matter what you grew up in, no matter what country you grew up in, no matter how many miserable beatings you took from those SOBs that might have been your parents, you can change the beliefs. I'm not going to say it's easy, but if you don't change the belief, how are you going to ever attract a different type of partner, a different type of job, a different level of happiness? And I think that's what, if you can spend 2 or 3 days in an event, like a seminar, I'm not going to name names again, seminars, events, maybe that environment can push your buttons in a structured way where you can pop out of that belief. Or you can do what you did and marry a loser and then another loser, and then finally you wake up because you're in so much pain, Steph-funny, you went, now I got to change my belief. I've had enough pain, I'm ready.
Well, yeah, I tried the religious route. I looked for saviors outside of me, and then I finally realized that nobody was coming to save me, and I better save myself. And
it's Bartology. You need to join my cult.
That's what it was.
The cult of Bartology. We will say. Truth is, I don't save you. I give you the menu and the recipe, and I'm like, let me help you eat the food. Let me drink the Kool-Aid, because you're the one that makes all the decisions.
Right. You're the operator of your system. You just may not be aware of it. I think it's fascinating that so many people can utilize their phone. They know how to use their phone better than they know how to use their brain.
And they know when it's an operational error versus their error.
And here's
They're
the
like,
other
hey,
thing.
the computer's not working.
Have you ever noticed, like, when it says system update and then you update it, how much better the system runs? Well, sometimes we have to update our system because there is distractions and viruses and all kinds of little things that are getting in our brains that we need to flush out every now and then.
The worst part is that people are running on things that were said to them when they're 6 years old and 9 years old and 15 years old. They have no idea that that was a program. That was literally an instruction going out into the world, seeped in their brain, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, you're not lovable.
Yep.
And for the rest of their life, they think they're not lovable. And then what happens? They get in a relationship and it's loved. And you know what happens?
They sabotage it.
They sabotage it because it doesn't match reality.
Exactly. So here's the deal. If you want someone to love you, you better get good at loving yourself.
But what if the belief I don't deserve to be loved? Again, it's a belief. It's not real. I think that's a takeaway. But you have to almost run through every detail and say, do you believe this? And then let them gut check it. If they're self-aware,
Yeah.
do you believe
that's
men?
the first step, right?
Do you believe men are good? See, I would say not all men. Some men are, some men aren't. Not all women.
Right.
But I would start breaking it down.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, people say, like we have family members that have a problem with rich people. Rich people are
money's
bad.
a great example.
Rich people are bad. Republicans are all evil.
Money
Democrats
is
are all
the root of all evil. Why would I want to be associated with that? No, I think it's humans that are probably the root of all evil, but we don't give up on them. Anyway, here's the deal. What NLP did differently than psychoanalysis, instead of researching sick people, they research successful people. And a great way to get better at something, to change a belief, is to find somebody that's already doing it very well. If you want to learn baseball, you don't go to a golf pro. You go to the best baseball teacher, coach that you can find. So if you want to get better at managing money, if you want to get rich, you go to somebody that already knows how to make it and retain it. That's the easiest way of belief changing, is you condition your mind with useful and good information until it becomes automatic. Here we go, right back to atomic habits, right? We make the habits automatic.
I've heard from so many people that they had a decision to enroll in a course, to start a new business, maybe even date. And they go to their best friend or their family members for advice on something that family member knows nothing about. Starting a business, having a happy marriage, investing money in Bitcoin or whatever. They'll go to their best friend. I'm like, why would you go to your best friend? Your best friend is poor, broke, unhappy, and divorced.
Yeah.
Why would you even ask that person? But they're like, well, I trust them. No, they have no perspective. I know so many people my age and older that although some of us charge for our time, at some point, they're just gracious to get an apprentice. They want to help people. And so if you don't know who you can call to solve a problem, go put yourself in that situation. I couldn't afford a ticket to Tony Robbins when I was 17 years old. So I called up and volunteered. And I sit there and got the hot coals, ready for people to walk across the hot coals. And then at the end of it, I could walk across the hot coals and I can go sit in the seminar when I wasn't running errands. 17, I had no shame. Why not? I'm thrilled. It's a $900 ticket. It's a lot of money for a 17-year-old.
And you really had to have the drive to be able to make that happen at that time frame. Right now is the best time to be alive, contrary to popular belief. Some people say alternatively. But we can customize our environment with a few clicks of the button. We unsubscribe, we turn the TV off. My television is programmed on YouTube. It's got my algorithms. I have money podcasts I listen to. Sometimes I just put aerial landscapes behind me because I love traveling and I'm not traveling because I have a 2-year-old that needs me here. So I just do something that makes my life feel like I'm still getting that vacation, even if it's just for 5 minutes on the television.
But even the social media, you could spend 8 hours a day watching videos and yoga teachers dance silly TikToks, or you could start watching financial advice and real estate advice and investment advice and personal development advice. And there's some pretty good people out there. I'm not saying that free information in 30 seconds is going to change your life, but if you're going to spend 20 minutes a day, one of the exercises we do in the Life Designed by Prism is we're asking people to do some work, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, do some push-ups, listen to music, maybe meditate for 15 minutes. And you hear this excuse, I don't have time. I just don't have time. And I've probably met 2 people in the world that really didn't have the time, right? 4 kids, work 6 jobs, drive a bus, but most of us don't do that. So what we do is you break for an entire week, you break everything down in 10 minutes and you make a note of what you do. And I guarantee you, I was shocked at how much time I spent on Facebook, or how much TV I watched, or how much time I goofed off from the moment the alarm went off, by the time I got to my desk. It didn't take me 90 minutes to wake up in the morning, Steph. Like, I was the teacher, and I was like, I'm embarrassed. I don't want to see it. I have so much free time. I'm just a poor investor of my time because I love freedom so much. So for people that say they can't take 10 minutes to write in their journal, if you're using handwriting analysis or journaling, or 5 minutes a day to do a magic question. I mean, those are simple stuff. The book called The Magic Question I wrote, all it is take a question, take to a mirror, and you ask the question for 60 seconds, and you go on with your day. It's a small 1-minute habit. And that book has been my best-selling book. It's changed more lives than anything. You know why? It's simple. It's easy. They actually did it. The 450-page book, I'm not sure anyone's ever read every page. I have. 2 people.
But I had the desire to be different so much that is such a huge driver. Every single day I'm looking at what can I do to improve even more? That 1% a day. 1% a day. How much have I changed in the last 5 years? I'm a different person. And let me just full circle the whole sad girl to 15 years old to who I am now. Through your program and going value elicitation and the career and the money and the relationships and the love and the health and fitness, one of the common themes that I found was really important to me, having fun. And what happens if I don't have fun enough days in a row? I become grumpy, bitter, the monsters start seeping through, right? Like, I'm not that great of a person to be around. It's not my better version, right? And then what is hilarious is that phonetically, fun is in my name.
Steph-fun-ny.
Wow. So I have totally shifted my identity from sad girl that was just a victim of circumstance to this very empowered, great role model for my daughter and my nieces, to Steph-fun-ny.
I love that. I mean, for me, I've always had a playful attitude, but that's the whole point. We're in the same family, grew up different households, of course, but what you're struggling with is not what I'm struggling with. And so we all sort of see the world through our own limited perspectives and think everyone has the same challenges. Fun was never my problem. I was a class clown. My dad's a goofball, which was the same dad. Yeah. So you should have been a goofball too. For some reason, you took a serious pill in high school.
I did.
And then you're like, well, life's not supposed to be fun.
Life is hard.
I literally went to class looking forward to making everybody laugh. And most of my comedian friends, the same thing. We're class clowns. So I can make fun anywhere, not necessarily make fun of anyone, but I can create fun in a vacuum. And I love that about myself. I think that's a great quality, which is why I probably got, pulled into entertainment and podcasts and comedy and books and things. But that didn't mean I didn't have other belief systems that weren't very good. Like, I didn't think I was a good-looking kid in high school, and that was a limiting belief. And then you have to reevaluate all those. Is there a particular methodology? The Life Designed by Prism program is not always on. It's one of those things you have to sign up for and wait a few months. What would people do if they're like, you know what, I want to investigate? Is it an online test? I know you can read the Rich and Happy book, and in chapter 4, we go through sort of an online quiz, but how would you coach someone that maybe didn't have the money to hire you as their mental fitness coach, but where would they go from there?
Well, community we go back to environment, right? The environment shifts the perspective. And if, your family is toxic and you keep going back to the same negative people, but you want to be a happier person, then you have to elevate your community.
So, Stephanie, one of the things that we're going to do with this mental fitness community is open up a membership organization where they can have access to you, me, and the other coaches on a regular basis. So not just some free videos here and there, but an actual curriculum where every month they can come, they can be around, they can introduce her to our friends and our speakers, and we're going to make it really reasonably priced so that they can get access to a community of worldwide experts on a regular basis. What is your vision for the mental fitness community for people that really, really want to up their level up their life?
This is one of the most exciting things that we have going on right now. The community aspect is so powerful. I know that I am naturally more elevated when I'm around people that are also elevated, and I know how difficult it is to find a community that is committed to the kind of progress that we want in our life. So I think what we'll do is we will break it down into monthly themes. So here's a monthly theme of money, health, relationships, and at the end of the 12 months, we will take a retreat, and we'll invite everybody that's a member to come on this retreat, to come on this adventure of a lifetime. And I will tell you that it is so much easier to change when you are in a comfortable, loving, supportive environment. And we want to teach you how to have a loving, supportive environment every day of your life. So please join us.
So for now, go join them. Make sure you're on the email list, because YouTube and TikTok, you just don't know if you're going to see these videos again. So if they're on the email list, either bartbaggett.com or your Mental Fitness Mastery, Mental Fitness Mastery.com, get on the email list, and you'll be invited to be one of the charter members. So if you want to get in and see what we're up to and get more hands-on information without spending $10,000, I mean, this is a nice low entry point where you can get access to the community without mortgaging your house on it. And we're happy to bring this information. Hey, my name is Bart Baggett. I've been your co-host. This is my lovely sister, Steph Stewart. And thank you for joining us on today's video. Please subscribe and check out the next one. Thanks, Steph.
Thanks, Bart.